For Donald Trump, the quest is not only to win over his passionate, rabid base, and they are certainly passionate and they are certainly rabid, but to peel off a few of those independents, we're told, are still skeptical or, for that matter, unsure, undecided. Hard to believe at this stage that there are many people who still are. But then there's the issue of women voters, who by and large do not flip over Mr. Trump, although that could be changing. A.J. Delgado joins us now, a Trump senior advisor. A.J., depending on the poll and depending, usually it's on the education of the woman voter or their background, where they are, that is beginning to move. It's not a given that Mr. Trump has lost this vote. What are you hearing?
Well, I think we are seeing that movement. I think for good reason. We're finally getting away from this false media narrative that was so unfair for the past year that Mr. Trump was somehow anti-women. The truth is, I think the more the public has had a chance to move away from the primaries and take a closer look at just two candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, they've started to look at Donald Trump's record a little bit more closely. And they've seen that this is someone who's been a champion of women. Going back to the 80s, let's remember his chief contractor at Trump Tower in the 80s, Neil, was a woman. His chief lawyer, I can tell you as a lawyer myself, it's very hard as a woman in that field, and his chief lawyer was a woman. So I think when you look at that, the maternity plan, the child care plan he just put out, outstanding policy, you're seeing women start to think, hey, maybe this is the right candidate for me, and not at all Hillary Clinton.
Are you surprised, though, that women have the sort of recoiling reaction they do to his language or to his coarse criticism of opponents? And that's why we're told Mr. Trump has to be on best behavior. He can't be criticizing or personally saying anything nasty about Hillary Clinton if for no other reason than not to alienate women, voters in particular.
No, Neil, I think that's been the media feigning outrage on women's behalf for the past year. I think women see Mr. Trump, just as his daughter Ivanka said, as an equal opportunity offender. And I kind of like it that he kind of gives it to us sometimes in those debates, the same way in the primary debates we saw, the same way he treated Carly, he would treat Rand Paul. I mean, he treats us as equals, and really isn't that all we're asking for?
Well, you mentioned the Carly Fiorina, but you mentioned the Carly Fiorina example, and he was famous for saying, look at that face, referring to her. Now, he said he was not trying to say that she was unattractive, but that was how it was interpreted. How does he overcome the perception that he's...
interpreted it.
How do you interpret that comment?
It's a shame people felt to interpret it that way. The scowl, the grimace that she looked unhappy or angry, I think it's sad that people misinterpret his remarks the way that they do. I think that says more about the person misinterpreting them than it does about Mr. Trump. This is someone who, like I said, has such a great record as a champion of women and has raised two amazing, beautiful daughters who are tremendous success stories. What could speak more to the way he treats women than his own two daughters, Ivanka and Tiffany, and their tremendous success?
Well, no, you raise a valid point, but it does get to another point about having a man and a woman on the stage and whether there is extra pressure on Donald Trump and how he interacts and treats Hillary Clinton as a woman. I only mention it because, as you know, Rick Blasio got in a heap of trouble when he famously walked over to her side of the stage and got in her space, and many say that that lost him the New York Senate race. What do you think of that?
Well, I hope that's not the case, and I would hope that Hillary Clinton herself would want Mr. Trump to treat her just as he would treat Bernie Sanders if he were the one on that stage. We don't want to be treated differently. I thought that's what feminism is all about and what Hillary Clinton's push has been all these years. So I would hope she expects to be treated just the same as a male would on that stage. And I don't think women viewers, Neil, are really caught up on that. We're just here to listen to policy and see who the best candidate is for us, and that's certainly Mr. Trump.
All right. So let me ask you finally, if you get a chance to advise Mr. Trump about tonight, what do you tell him?
Be yourself. It's what's gotten you to where you are. Be authentic. Speak to us directly, and just keep bringing home that message that has gotten you this far. The American public is 100% behind you. We don't need you to do anything differently than you have been. Be yourself. That's who we love and who we support.
All right. We'll watch closely. A.J. Delgado, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thanks, Neil.